Good afternoon, honorable judges, teacher, and student. My name is Linh Quyên. I come from Vietnam. This is Dela, come from Indonesia, and Azodia, come from Sri Lanka. Our topic today is reduce inequality among countries by empowering people with disability. Our presentation will include introduction, problem, suggestion, and conclusion. SDGs currently is the most cared about topic around the world, and the goal we want to focus on today is Goal 10, reduce inequality. According to the UN World Social Report, our world always has a high level of inequality. There's about 1 billion people in the world are disabled, and 80% of them living in developing countries are struggling with poverty. And today we will use Vietnam and Indonesia as our example. There are more than 6.2% of population in Vietnam are disabled, and 5% in Indonesia are equal to 22.5 million. But there are just only 2.3% of them are approved for medical health services. 16.9% of community health centers are accessible for them. Many people with mild disability have to pay a lot of money for their own healthcare insurance. And most of them in rural areas have less chances to reach for medical health services. As you know, education is the most valuable investment for every country, but only 1/3 of the disabled students can go to school at the right age. Just only 2% of special schools are built for them. As you can see here in the chart, the number of disabled students are decreased in both Vietnam and Indonesia when the older they get. And evidence shows that Vietnamese students with disabled adults in their household are significantly have less chances to go to school. And because many disabled people are denied from public school, they have to seek for alternative education which cost a lot more higher fee. Here, almost half of the poverty rate are persons with disabilities. This is because there are still companies that reject them because of their limitation in work, and the work environment is not friendly to them, and which make it to them find difficult for them to find job and stay in job. This situation also causes the income of people with disability to much less and make them one of the contributors to the poverty rate in both countries, Indonesia and Vietnam. The governments in Indonesia and Vietnam actually try to help people in obtaining their right through programs made on focusing on people with disabilities. And this is an example from Indonesia and Vietnam governments. In addition, there are also non-governmental organizations take action, such as Mitra Netra Foundation, the Likasi Foundation, and the Vietnam Assistance for the Handicapped. This is an example. If we involve people with disabilities by providing them with a greater job opportunities, we believe that the national gross domestic product will increase, will reduce the national poverty rate.
As we have discussed throughout our presentation, it is very clear that disabled people in these two countries are facing inequality when approaching education, healthcare services, and economic stability. But unfortunately, this is not something limited to these two countries. In fact, in most developed countries like UK, there are disabled people that will not get some basic rights. As you can see here, 90% of the children in developing countries will not get access to education. Thus, the global literacy rate among the disabled people has remained to drop to 3%. When it comes to employment, most of the employers does not believe these people are capable of working. So the unemployment rates of some countries has risen to 80%. So this social prejudice has caused a lot of impact on the disabled people. So it is very clear that inequality faced by the disabled people is a global issue affecting the sustainable development overall. So for this issue, we would like to make few suggestions, and I would like to highlight the first three. From the first one, we are suggesting that there can be a proper training program for training caregivers specifically designed for taking care of disabled people, because they will be more comfortable around their caregivers because they are specially trained for them. Just like there are teachers specially trained for teaching special children. Providing parental education at the birth of a disabled child. By this we mean this is more important because it is very important for parents to understand their disabled child is equally important as a normal kid. There are plenty of occasions where the parents will abandon their children just because they have some sort of disability. Also, there are enough cases we can see that the children are held separate in institutes, separately from their parents, and they are treated badly. Mostly they are malnourished and does not get access to education. So this can be prevented by providing a proper parental education. Providing more accessible resources is also important because most part of Indonesia and Vietnam does not have sufficient resources, and the mostly available resources are centered to urban areas. So this has to be changed, and the resources should be delegated to rural areas. So finally, I would like to say that among the countries in the world, only around 4 to 5 countries has anti-discrimination or disability-specific laws. So there is a question, is this really enough to secure the futures of disabled people? We don't think so. And constantly, today is the International Day for Disabled People. So it is a good time to make a voice and start changing the world into a place where everyone is treated equally and everyone is treated despite their abilities. So that's the end of our presentation, and thank you for listening.